My name is Vince Lanci. This is the Gold Fix. As we look in envy at the movers, oil down 7% yesterday, natural gas limit up, and also limit up again today. And I've had my share of trading those markets, and I love it. Natural gas does have a reputation of being called the widowmaker, um, and certainly it has uh, made me a widow. Wait a minute, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, I've made a ton of money and lost a ton of money in there, and I do love that market. I'm a little bit envious right now. But let's go through gold, and we will talk a little bit about energy because we're all active traders here, and you got to talk about what's moving. So today's gold fix: expect trouble under 1197. Being frank with you, 1197 is not an arbitrary number, but it does seem to be a number. Uh, I think it's supposed to crap out below 1205. It hasn't yet. On a day trading basis, I thought that. So maybe it will below 1197. Let's click on that. All right. Shout out today to the Asian currency traders, the New Zealand dollar, the Japanese yen, and the Aussie dollar for reasons I'll get into. I'm not shouting out to them because it's like a patronage thing. These are currencies that I have traded in the past. I used to trade the Aussie dollar aggressively uh, 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 when I was playing gold. It was like my punt, because it was a gold kind of currency. All right. So yesterday, gold was weaker but closed its candle higher. Okay, that would be that's a phrase I can pick off of any site. Whether it is a pause before another sell or bottom is unknown. For our money, it is a pause. As long as there is QT in stocks, do not completely dump. Gold is not a buy. Those are my famous last words. So far today, the China intervened to strengthen yuan, and just so you know, I do have a Twitter account. I'm gonna I'm gonna show you that amazing picture. Um, Feel free to ignore all other pictures. Is that it? No. Uh, but you're gonna bear with me because you're such nice guys and gals and whatever else you identify. Bullish gold. This is me at 8:30 last night. Bullish gold. PBOC raised in yuan fixing by 227 pips, which is like the first or second day they've done that after a 6 or 7 day of nothing. So that isolated is bullish for gold, but gold is lower. So why don't we just say uh, uh, it's not as bearish for gold today? All right. So the DX has Europe on its mind. All right. So all right, here we go. We are having, well, we'll blame it on the humans. That would be myself. Um, Events and data on deck. The U.S. reports CPI today. It is expected to rise about 0.3%, which would lift the year-over-year rate to 2.5%. I'm going to talk in William Shatner voice now. API will provide its oil inventory estimate a day later than usual due to Veterans Day. I'm not sure what that means, considering that oil's in a secular bear market. So if you get a bullish API number, it may be a level maybe a level that'll rally um, and then sell off. Okay, um, Juggernaut Powell moves forward. I say this because I have been saying this. Powell doesn't care. Maybe you can call him a Terminator. Powell, if he sees anything that's going to verify or vindicate his actions, will continue to do so. I do not expect a backing off of QT or an easing of dollar drainage until the stock market goes to 2000. Why did I pick that number? It's arbitrary. It could be 2100, it could be 2300. But if there is a Powell put, it ain't coming because of wiggles and waggles. All right, with the Fed funds below target rates still and growth solid, the case for gradual rate hikes remains in place. Fed Chair Powell speaks late today in Dallas and will likely reiterate the point that he and most Fed officials have made. All right, BTD is now STR. So buy the dip is now sell the rip. Doesn't mean you can't do both, but if you're buying one on the dip, I'm selling two on the rip. This is a picture of an actual juggernaut. And I know this because I had to look up the juggernaut for my kids years ago to really understand what's going on. Juggernaut was this thing that would be carried for religious ceremonies. If you're familiar with Little Italy in Manhattan, where they carry the saint down the road, or saw The Godfather, picture this thing that once it gets rolling, people actually got crushed under it because you didn't stop it from moving. It was so heavy, and there was some guy up there who thought he was a deity, or put in this case, put Pal up top, and the people pulling it or are I don't know, slaves to the high rates, and the people getting crushed are the idiots who keep thinking that where he's going to back off raising rates. So there's a little bit of history and a little bit of humor, and here we go again with all this space. Okay, yesterday's trades, there were none in precious metals on our systems, as they usually are not after a protracted move on a signal 2 days prior. It's not to say I ignore other reasons to sell. It is to say when I act. Doesn't mean you can't act. We also advise is not the right word, but we also note that technicians would be sellers or buyers of levels. We did put on a small SPY trade from a weak VBS signal that was stopped out. Let's face it, we should be selling rallies in gold if we pay attention to any technical models, and we have advised that bias when reporting here. It's just not our thing usually. I just get too into it. I can't play Larry. When I play Larry, I start seeing correlations between, you know, between gold and the price of replacement Land Rover car keys. Other money. We wish to focus. We wish, but we do not. Sorry for disappointment. We wish to focus on Asian pairs, especially in light of our being viscerally attached to the yuan gold relationship. Members, subscribers, members are very active in the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, and Japanese yen combinations, with success both short term and as longer holds. I love watching what they're saying. Reminds me that I should be paying more attention to it. So we have to move that analysis, unfortunately, to tomorrow. Uh, but I will say this: these are currencies with small floats. They will track. They will track China for multiple reasons. The trade thing weighs on them. Plus, now you have Apple. Suppliers are affected by Apple's reporting or lack thereof. To the extent that Australia and New Zealand are involved in supplying parts, they are affected. I don't know. Maybe it's they're supplying raw materials for parts. Um, anyway, we have to move the analysis tomorrow with the UK and Euro stuff on deck. Suffice to say, US dollar. Okay, this is what I just said. All right. We also love trading things that have less noise in their tape, like volatility. It would seem the Asian Caucasian currencies are good proxies of less noise, more meat. Australian dollar, New Zealand. Yeah, you could make the case for if it were more liquid, Vietnam, any country that feeds raw materials or whose economy is dependent on exports to China, um, is interesting. Australian dollar has a bigger float than the New Zealand dollar. So keep this in mind. When you're trading currencies like these, it is actually smart to trade a little bit longer term because you will have less noise to worry about day to day. When a trend reverses, it reverses. You don't have knee jerk reactions. Maybe you will on their own central banks, but those currencies I like as well. The yen is the U.S. dollar yen pair is a very close tracker to the stock market because of the carry trade. But the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, um, I like the Aussie dollar. I'm familiar with that. Has a small offshore flow, so it makes it very susceptible to trade issues, and it's dependent on offshore investment as well. Kind of the problem that China's having now, but we'll move on to that. Outside market. This is not the oil chart, but it may as well be. The oil chart down 7%, I believe, yesterday. That chart is from a web comic called XKCD. He's a programmer with a knack for making bizarre charts. Uh, I like him, and this reminded me of him. It's also similar to Taleb's uh, The Life of a Turkey. Um, more dead space. Okay, oil prices are trying to stabilize after WTI 7% fall yesterday. It's larger 3 years. While nat gas for Henry Hub delivery went limit up, and it is limit up again so far, much to the delight of at least one op trader team member who has been all over the market, spreads and vol. That would be Bryn Kelly. Hat tip to her. Although I suspect there's something evil about her. She has been a little bit too gleeful at the high volatility. A little bit of Trump exclamation points there. She has been adding value on energy, and subscribers have had great profitable insight. But to be frank, while Bryn was pounding the table in that gas, most of us who are crude biased were deer in headlights watching crude meltdown, wishing we were short. Some of us were short. Some of us actually played from the long side. I think Larry had a nice little long trade. Catching knives is not easy, but Larry's a lot of people have been trying to trade the counter trade on that, and I think smartly so, picking good levels and good stops. Uh, Maybe we should all, and I really say this, should be looking for a 2 or 3 day rally bear flag to develop. Also, note team leaders and members were ahead of the oil sell-off, noting the option behavior. We were noticing that options didn't care, options didn't care, options didn't care. And then yesterday, before I think Bryn and I had a quick conversation or give and take on the skew is changing, someone's going on. Comment pre-post midterms. If you remember, Larry was uh, uh, asserting that weaker oil is to the administration's advantage for midterms. I believe that. However, after midterms, it just kept dropping. So there you have it. I mean, you're going to see headlines on oil. Investors are getting hurt. No, they're not. All right. The funds are now short oil. You can be short stuff too. Maybe if you own oil based equities, you might be getting hurt. But some oil based equities that are more refiners are going to do well. Asia and Europe. This is about gold, right? Global equities are heavy with oil related stocks being hit hardest. UK said this is UK is where it's at for me today. UK has high drama politically. Their cabinet will approve the agreement worked out with the EC. Anglophiles, such as myself, are interested in this as May does not necessarily have parliament support, and it seems there will be resignations after this. So basically, what you have is you have the UK leadership saying yes, the EC saying yes, we're going to agree to it, and I think once it goes through Parliament, you're going to see not as much parliamentary support. Coming, excuse the sniffles. I do have a cold. I'm not snorting Ajax. Um, there will be a special EU meeting on November 25th. I don't know what that's about. It's some sort of I guess, a final check, some papal thing. What for is not clear yet to me. That's because I haven't looked it up. Italy's government stood fast in the face of the EC's pushback against its budget proposals. Solenoid comment. We're not going to have time to get into the whole joke there, but the bottom line is I've said it before. I'll say it again. And I won't be surprised if Italy capitulates at some point. But Italy's saying, no, we're not adjusting our budget. And here's why. And they actually have a reason. It's not just some sort of irrational comment. We are, our latest levels are out of crisis. Therefore, we're not going to the austere aspect of the budget that you want. And, let's face it. I mean, uh, my grandfather came to America with silver coins in his pocket and said, put these away because all the coins are made. They're not afraid of inflation. These people are more interested in quality of life than they are in standard of living. They're not afraid of inflation. And with Britain dropping out, does that make them less or more patient with Italy? I don't know. What does it mean for gold? I don't know. But if Italy has a lot of gold, if Italy does a deal with the IMF or extends a deal with the IMF, that would be bearish for gold. And I say that because that would mean Italy would have to sell gold. Um, and to see some commodities today, U.S. stocks are in there. All right, the 10-year yield is up a tad. The Shanghai Composite is down. U.S. stocks are mixed. The DAX, after having a very nice day yesterday on actually weaker than expected GDP or economic numbers, is flat to slightly lower. Stock 600 also down a little bit. The FTSE is flat to up. Um, and you can see U.S. stocks are mixed. YM is the Dow Mini. All right, moving lower. Wow. Okay. Technicals via more analysis. All right. Get short below window 1196, 1195.80. That's where my 1197 number comes in. So that's the downside part. If you'll notice what I wrote there. And then above, get long on these penetration above 1202.60, 1202.80. So why don't we just say this? The range prescribed by these technicals are 1203 to 1196. Those are his range numbers. And consider putting on a trade above or below that. You can buy the dip or you can buy strength coming back up through 1196. That's up to you. And you can read the rest of his numbers there. Let's go to the VBS. All right. Last night I did have a chart. I did have a signal in silver that would have paid off. I got a signal. If you look at this chart here, this is an hourly. If you go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. I said it in the chat. It is a sale at the end of this hour, and of course, it would not have been stopped at had I done that. The result is I did not do it because I was sleeping. As Larry often says, I am a narcoleptic. I didn't wake up in time to do the trade. It would have been a nice trade. It would have been in and out in an hour. But there you have it. My mistake. I think the Chinese strengthening of the yuan probably made me not pay more attention to it. All right, on the radar today is gold, the euro, and the DX. We'll come to the charts in a minute. Learning moment, trust your system, stay up later. You hear a neighbor's dog, pal today. Let's do a couple charts. I am out of town, hence the animal brigade. All right. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Let's go to gold. This is the futures. All right, on the daily, we are delayed by 10 minutes here. The reason it says down 7% is because I have the yuan next to it. And there you go. I would say on a technical basis, you're safe to stay short below 1214. If that's too much for you, then you can stay short below 1210. If that's too much for you, you should get short below 1197. Those of you looking to buy dips, you could be long right now with a stop. My dog says it's time to go. All right. Everyone have a great day. You know what to look for. Look for me in the chat room. I think my dog is, yes, natural gas is limit up. Talk to you later.
Let me ask you a question. Is that dog giving you all your calls, Vince? Oh, he's off? Oh, he couldn't hear. That's fun. Dude, he's got